Hello everyone and welcome to a very nice game from the European Women's Rapid Championship. It's former World Women Champion Nona Gaprindashvili. She's the 6th Women's World Champion versus Maia Chiburdanidze, who is the 7th World Women's Chess Champion. And Gaprindashvili has been World Champion for 16 years before facing Maia Chiburdanidze in 1978. So over 40 years have passed since the two of them played their match for the World Chess Championship. 41 years, I believe. So it's incredible that they are still very active and still playing competitive chess. Maya is 58 years old and Nona is 78 years old. So when some of you say that you're like 50 and you are too old for chess, you can always look at Nona Gaprindashvili, who is not only playing competitive chess, she's playing the World Rapid Champion, the European Rapid Championship. So that's really incredible, and one of the reasons why I decided to show this game, as they are both legends when it comes to chess. It's like I said, from the European Rapid Championship, and it was held in Monte Carlo, and it was also the first edition of the Europe's Golden Pawn Awards. Now, if you're wondering what the Europe's Golden Pawn Awards is, I'm wondering as well, so I had to Google it. And from there, what appears to be the official website, it says Europe's Golden Pawn is a new tradition and brings together the best representatives of the European chess world each year. Chess stands for people of intelligence, brilliant and flexible minds, and we always stay where there are healthy, highly intellectual and interesting activities and ideas. So that's basically the Europe's Golden Pawn, and there will be awards like for best author, for best arbiter, for I've seen there are awards for women's chess legend, men's chess legend. There are a lot of awards you can win every year. So that being said, we do have some photos from the event. Here they are. There you have it. That's Judith Polgar alongside Anna Rudolph and Huga. Huga sent me these photos, so thanks for that. Now, Judith probably will be receiving the Chess Legend Award, I imagine. And also here is one with Garry Kasparov. And there you have it. He will probably be receiving the other Chess Legend Award. Maybe not. I still haven't checked it out. So if any of you do know, do share in the comment section below. And Garry Kasparov also held a simultaneous exhibition there. If any of you attended and you have a nice game that you would like to show, maybe someone played against Garry and it was a nice game, do send it. I will definitely check it out and show it. And here we have also a nice photo of the two of them playing. There you have it on board 13, Nona versus Maia. There you have it, both of them deep in the position. And there behind Huga, you can see a wild Arkady Dvorkovich appears. The FIDE president is also enjoying the match between these two legends. So that being said, let's check out the game. Nona with the white pieces opens with d4. We have e6, c4 and d5. We have knight to f3 and now c6. The Slav defense is on the board. We have queen to c2 and knight to d7 now. Bishop to f4, and here comes knight g to f6. So just nicely developing, knight bd2 and bishop to e7. Maia prepares to castle. We have h3 and now castles by Maia. We have e3 and now the early c5, as the white king is still in the center of the board. Of course, you want to open up the position. And here there is a game that continued c captures on d5, but b3 is a new move in the position, so already as of move 9 we have a completely new game. With b6, Maia will think to the light square bishop as well. We have bishop to d3, putting pressure on the h7 pawn. For the moment, it's not a problem since the knight is guarding it. Bishop to b7, and now castles. We have rook to c8, and now comes rook a to d1, nicely aligning the rook along the d file. If the position opens up, that's where you want to have your rook. We have rook to e8, and now queen back to b1, not wanting the queen on the same file as this rook. Knight to f8 now. The knight is coming to g6, and from there the knight will be a very useful piece. So we have d captures on c5, and here bishop captures on c5. And finally e4, a breakthrough in the center. We have d captures on e4, and now knight captures on e4. The knight is protected with a tactic, even though it's attacked twice, since the rook is still on the same file as the queen. So we do have one trade, bishop captures on e4, knight captures on e4 also possible, as the bishop is a very strong piece, but Maia prefers bishop captures on e4. with bishop captures now opening up an attack towards the queen, and queen to e7 now, and bishop back to c2. Not allowing this trade, and for the moment Nona has the advantage of the bishop pair. So if it's well, correctly utilized, it will be a deadly bishop pair. For example, bishop d2 to c3 will be an excellent bishop pair. So knight to g6, attacking the bishop, bishop back to d2. Now with the idea of bringing it to c3, and then the bishop pair will be fully operational. We have rook e to d8, as the rook is no longer useful on e8, and the bishop to c3 now. Now the bishops are definitely fully operational. With a5, just further improving the position on the queen side. If you look at it, and if you take away, if you imagine all the pieces of the board, white has a 3-2 advantage on the queen side. So that's always better than having an advantage on the king side where the kings are, since the king will be able to compensate for the for one less pawn. So 3-2 on the queen side, definitely a plus if you can trade down into that endgame. We have queen to c1, not allowing knight to f4. Also, the queen also wants to enter the game somehow. And knight to h5 now. Now this knight is coming to f4, and unless you want to ruin your pawn structure a bit, well, g3 would be a blunder here because you can just capture it. The f pawn is pinned, but there's really no good way to prevent it. So we have rook captures on d8, trading a pair of rooks. Rook captures on d8, and now rook to d1, offering a trade of another rook. We have knight h to f4 now, finally grabbing that nice f4 square, and here rook captures on d8, trading the other pair of rooks as well. Queen captures on d8, and now queen to d1, offering a trade of queens as well, as Nona figures the endgame will be advantageous to her, since the bishop pair is still on the board. We have queen captures on d1, Maia disagrees with this, and bishop captures on d1. We have knight to d3 now, putting pressure on the f2 pawn, and now you don't really have a good way of defending the pawn, so you have to put a bishop in between. So bishop to d4, and now e5, not wanting to trade on d4 so the knight gets activated immediately, but rather e5, and now you force white to capture on c5. So bishop captures on c5, and now not knight captures but b captures, and here you have perfect control of the b4 square. So even though white has a 3-2 advantage on the queen side, you will not be pushing a3 and b4. Maybe you will if all of the pieces maybe get traded off and the black king will be far away, so maybe you can sacrifice a pawn to start marching your c5 pawn, c pawn, but other than that, very unlikely. So bishop to c2, attacking the knight, and now knight g to f4. Here Maia is offering a trick. For example, if you try to kick the knight away with the g3, it does remove the defender of this knight, but it doesn't work. Simply knight captures on h3 comes with check. And now after king f1, you're going to capture on f2 as well, and after king to e2, now again threatening to win the piece, now e4. Knight to g5, and now after, let's say, h6, you will simply pick up the e4 pawn, knight captures on e4, and bishop captures on d3. But knight captures on g3 with check, and after all is said and done, black will enjoy 2 extra pawns, and it will be an easy win for black. So after knight g to f4, we have king to f1. Now g3 definitely a threat, but black no longer waits for g3. So knight to b4, putting pressure on the bishop and the pawn here. Bishop to b1, and now f6, just strengthening the e5 pawn. We have a3, pushing the knight back, and now knight back to c6. Now the knight will harass the b3 pawn from d4. So you can, white is still okay here, but you can feel that it's black who's dictating the tone of the battle, and even though Nona had the bishop pair, maybe trading the rooks was great, but trading the queen, maybe the queens should have remained on the board a bit longer. But you know, things happen in chess. With knight to d2, now adding a defender to the b3 pawn, as you are expecting knight to d4. With knight to d4, and now bishop to e4, getting the bishop into the game. And here comes king to f7. Now Maia starts improving the position of the king. With h4, now you can push g3 without h3 being a target, and now f5, pushing the bishop further back. Bishop back to b1, and now comes king to f6, and here f3. We have knight f to e2, just a very nice knight, as Well, if the knight comes to c1, there's really no way for you to defend b3. Reason being that, well, bishop to c2 is not possible, the knight covers that square, and if bishop to a2, knight to c1 just traps it, and then you're just gonna lose it. Well, you don't lose a piece, you can retreat to b1, but then you lose the b3 pawn either way. So it's very hard for white to make a move here. Here, Nona tries g4, but we have just g6, and here, it's, like I said, it's incredibly hard to find a move for white. If you try something like bishop to d3 to try and win a piece or something, just knight to c1, and you will lose the b3 pawn. There's no way around that. There's no defending the pawn. If you try something like bishop to a2, we already mentioned knight to c1 just attacks the bishop alongside the pawn. You're going to have to move the bishop back, and then you just lose the pawn. Or if after bishop to a2, knight c3, you go bishop back to b1, you can just capture it, and after knight captures, you will then capture on b3. So it's playing something like a4 to waste time, just knight c1, again loses the b3 pawn, then again white falls apart. It's a very important pawn. So here Nona tried a very, well, the only active idea basically in the position, h5. Point is that now Maia plays knight to c1. Yes, the b3 pawn, you cannot save it, but what you can do is exactly what Nona did. H captures on g6, h captures, g captures on f5, g captures on f5, and now b4. Something we mentioned, that if the maybe if the pieces were all traded and if the black king was very far away, then maybe you could sacrifice a pawn on the queen side to create a passed c pawn. But now it's made out of necessity, as there was no way to defend the b3 pawn. So c captures on b4, we have a captures, and now c5, starting to push the passed pawn, although it's not really all that much of a problem for black since the black king is very close. We have king to e6, and now king to e1, knight c to e2, and bishop to d3 now, threatening to win a piece. Knight back to c3, and now bishop to c4 with check. King to d7, and now king to f2. The knights are really making it hard for the white king to reach anything here. We have king to c6, now the pawn is threatened, there's no way to defend it. Knight b3, but black just trades and then picks up the pawn. So here we have king to e3, but now king captures on c5. And here black is just up 2 pawns, so definitely a decisive advantage. And here we have f4 by Nona. So feel free to pause the video here and try to find the absolute best way for Maia to win this position with black, while I give you a couple of seconds. For those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on finding the absolute best way to win it. It's a forced mate in 12 if white defends properly. So it's knight to d1. Congratulations to everyone who found it. This comes with check. The black king has nowhere to go. We have king to d3, and now you can see that the knights control all of the squares around the white king, so all that's left is to push e4. e4 with check, and now the white king has no more squares. You're gonna have to start giving up material, and it was of course in this position that Nona Gaprindashvili resigned the game on move 51, as there is nothing more to be done here. You will give up a piece here, for example, after captures with check, king captures, you're then going to lose the bishop, and even though you have one more pawn, it's not really going to be a problem. Black can even just capture it, you know, for good measure, and after this you will just continue to push your b pawn and queen it and win the game. So there are no tricks in the position. Of course, Nona decided to resign after this e4 check move. So that's the game. I do hope you enjoyed it. Really an awesome and a very inspiring game to see the two of them still going at it after 41 years after their World Chess Championship match in 1978. Really very motivational. So I do hope you enjoyed it. That's the game. I would also like to thank Doug McNabb, Gabia Stonite, and Jeff Graves for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon. Continue to check up on your wonderful suggestions and whatever else happens in the chess world. And also, for those of you who maybe don't know, the Vladimir Kramnik, who retired from professional chess, is coming back from retirement to play the World Rapid and Blitz Championship from 25th to 30th of December this year. So there's that. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.